Today we are going to look at the topic Parsley framework. Before that, I would like to share something with you. Actually, once I read in an article about giving the presentation, it was mentioned something like this. While giving the presentation, the presenter needs to know the mind of the listeners and try to get what they really want and present it accordingly. So right now I'm in such a situation, but you know one thing, it's a difficult task, because why I'm saying this is, this subject, Parsley framework, may be a tough one for the beginners who are just entered into the flex technology but have knowledge in applications development before. Or it may be a tougher task for the persons who have just entered into the software field. But I can tell you one thing, in either cases it will be interesting if we really concentrate. Okay? And I'm hoping, quite happy with the timings also. Morning 9:30, everyone with some fresh mind can pick up something. Okay? So, Parsley framework. Under this topic, we are going to cover these things: software frameworks basics, which will which will deal about the basic ideologies, fundamentals of frameworks, software frameworks, why we need, and what's the use of that, how we can construct a framework, and that will be discussed in a general way. And next one is introduction to Parsley framework. This one is Parsley is actually a framework which is written in ActionScript 3 and which was developed for Adobe Flash, Flex, and Air technologies. And we'll look into the basic ideologies of Parsley framework in that one. And third one will be implementation of Parsley framework. In that we will see a working example, and we'll see how the Parsley framework has been used for the development of an application. And the first one is software frameworks basics. During my school days, one of my teachers told me that any subject becomes interesting when you read through the history or fundamentals or basics of the subject before actually start to learn about the subject. In my experience, that is 100% true. So we'll start with the basic things. So the framework. Framework is a general term. There are so many definitions for framework, but let me try to give you a simple one. Framework is something like a skeletal support that is used as the basis for something being constructed. So, which means as far as software technology is concerned, since it's a software technology, they just included the prefix software and we call it as software framework. What does it really mean? Means something, a large piece of code what the developers develop, and they think that is considerably enough to leverage to build other applications based upon that code, and we'll call it as a software framework. Basically, software frameworks are called application generators. What I mean is, an application can be developed by having software framework, by having a framework as the basis, and it basically defines the flow of the control. It controls every action in your application development, and of course the benefits that we are going to achieve because of that is reusability of your code, both design and source code, and basically the framework has been developed just because to solve a group of related problems, which means suppose if you are given with the development of a GUI design, if you consider yourself to develop only according to your requirement, then that would be the one-time use. But if you develop a really toolkit, something with the use of framework, and that can be used as for another developer. The developers that are, suppose you are going to work in a multi-developer project. Each and every module will be developed by different users. You don't bother about what the other developers do. You can do your own code, and the final integration will be easy while using a software framework. And the next one is, we come into the topic that is Parsley framework introduction. Again, Parsley framework is a vast, and my aim is not to explain every bit of the framework, but to explain the fundamentals or concepts of the framework, so that to make you to consider this Parsley framework as one of your options. I should say one of your best options available when you are developing rich internet applications. And so, Parsley framework, it was actually introduced by Spice Factory. It's actually a group of Flex developers which is based in Germany and headed by Mr. James Huff. And it is, again, I already said, it is an application framework, and which was developed for Adobe Flex, Flash and AI technology, and which is written in AS3. And Parsley framework is built upon a library, software library called Parsley, and I'll explain about everything in the later sessions. And it's just a brief introduction about what is a Parsley framework. And the main concept of Parsley framework, which constitutes Parsley framework, is inversion of control. And I think the people from Java technology would have known about this term, inversion of control. Inversion of control is nothing but inverting the actions that happen in your applications. That is, suppose a developer given with an application to develop, and he is using a framework. The framework will take care of whatever the actions that perform in your applications, instead of the application specific code. Okay, that is the important difference between software library and this thing framework is